Welcome to the Left Hand Perspective. My name is BlaZae, and if you are someone who is on a personal path to self-mastery, yet find it hard fitting into most social settings, then subscribe to this podcast. Today on the show, this will be the part 2 episode with the discussion on the occult and Masonry with Michael Bell, A.K.A. the Professor. If you're listening for the first time, thank you very much for listening. Be sure to check out the part 1 episode of this. It'll be right under this episode. I'll have a link in the description as well, depending on where you're listening. Also, the Left Hand Perspective is on video as well. So if you want to see the video of this conversation, you can go to the YouTube page of the Left Hand Perspective, subscribe, which I'll also have in the description as well. But let's get into this conversation. I wanted to get into, on this part 2 episode, wanted to start talking about not so much just the book, but really just chakra work and masonry, but chakra work in particular, because I want to give a special shout out to Brother Panic's wife, Khadija Samdi, because when the reason why I started getting into Brother Panic, the first video that I saw, he was talking to, what's his name, about the Akasha. That was really my introduction into, to the occult, was the Akashic records. And he started talking about the Akasha and how his wife deals with the Akashic records. I ended up taking her class, using her book. That stuff changed, it really changed my life and gave me something to really help me to work with myself. And, with the chakra work, going hand in hand, with, not just your Masonic journey, but just your journey as a person, learning, understanding your fears, understanding the hidden self, you know what I'm saying? Understanding your higher self. And in Masonry, we get into Masonry to learn to subdue our passions and improve ourselves. And when it comes to the subduing of your passions, that's one of those things where you're told to subdue your passions, but you're not taught how to subdue your passions. And this book has really been a help for me in really putting that in the system. And I just wanted you to talk about this a little bit, and how even the chakras have helped you working with your chakras in the process of subduing your passions.
That's a great question, because that was one of the things when I did make the connection between Freemasonry and the chakra system. The question is, what's the relevancy? Mm-hmm. Oh, it could just be a fluke. It could be, just one of those things. Well, the thing is, the one thing that caught me is what you just said. You're told at every Masonic meeting to subdue your passions. Mm-hmm. And so subdue is kind of like a weird word. You usually hear subdue like it's like used like Lord of the Rings. You subdue your enemy. I smote him upon the ruins of mountain, whatever, right? So subdue is a very odd word. It's a very odd choice of words. So one of the things I did was, if you look up the etymological origin of the word subdue, we think of subdue meaning as to capture, to restrain, right? Mm-hmm. The word subdue means to draw from below, like pulling water from a well. Now, to our current understanding of that word, subdue might not fit. You would think, well, how does drawing from below fit with the word subdue and passions? Yeah. Well, in terms of chakras, the root chakra and the sacral chakra, that is where the majority of your passions, not just physical emotions, but your vital energy, the things that make you dynamic and energetic, for the most part.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I had to look. You talk about the etymology of that subducere, the Latin term for draw from below. I had to,
you had to pull that up.
Yeah,
okay,
because I knew it was something. Because C. Freeman Nail talks about educere or educere meaning to draw from without. So I was like, wait a minute. To draw out, or
no, educare means to draw from within.
Draw from within.
And subdue means to draw from below. So the connection I made was the Masonic apron. Mm-hmm. When you put that apron on, you have essentially covered up your lower two chakras.
Yeah. And
so the passions that you're subduing or drawing from below is a well-balanced root chakra and a well-balanced sacral chakra. Mm-hmm. The solar plexus chakra is actually the beginning, because I put it like this: to become a master mason, to be able to put on that apron, you have already mastered those. Well, you symbolically and metaphysically, you've already subdued those lower passions. That's the level you stand on in terms of chakra work. Not that you don't go back and work on it continually, but I'm saying that as a master mason, you find yourself at a level where you don't go any lower in terms of that's the level you stand on. I'll put it that way, if that makes any sense. So the lower two chakras, which are very important, this is where your foundation comes from. Mm-hmm. This is where all your dynamic energy and vitality comes from. The vitality and dynamic energy being the sexual fluids and the waters of the sacral chakra, which is also the moon. And then the root chakra, which is your foundation, which is Malkuth. And we all know that if you don't have a sturdy foundation, whatever you build wobbles and falls down. So for you to say, as a master mason, I have complete control over these two lower chakras, then that's the beginning of your chakra work. Because actually, chakra work is performed every time you go in the lodge. Every time. Mm. When I'm trying to think of a good way to put it. I'll say during initiations, you find yourself doing the EA degree. Mm-hmm. That is your solar plexus chakra. That's when you find out that you are the sun. Mm. You are that inner sun. And how do you connect those dots? How do you find that out? You realize this because you circumambulate around that lodge and you imitate the sun in its yearly progression. Yeah. So that's you the beginnings, and I'm using the initiation rituals as an example, but it's done every time you go in the lodge by the movements of the officer of the seven. Mm-hmm. We have 7 primary officers in the lodge. Each of them represents a different chakra. The orderly running of your lodge is the proper functioning, the well balanced. That's how well balanced your chakras are. You can do this with intention. You can assign each of those officers that chakra, and when that ritual is performed perfectly, you can leave up out of there and you did the work. It's possible to do it that way. And so at the next degree, which is the FC degree, you find yourself at the heart chakra. And everything is there. You can piece it all together. It's so clear as day to me that once I started doing the research, that it actually blew me away at how each of I'll say this before I move on. Each chakra, each of your lower 3 chakras represent earth, water, fire. That's root chakra's earth, sacral chakra's water, solar plexus is fire. Mm-hmm. And your chakras, if you go through the same progression, the 4th element becomes air, which is your heart. Yeah. The heart represents air. And after air comes ether. So the upper, so your Akasha. The Akasha. So your lower three chakras represent the baser elements of, because we always talk about the four elements. So those lower three, they actually represent earth, water, fire. Yeah. Air being the tipping point, because air is essentially, if you ascribe, outer space, beyond air is the ether or the Akash. Mm-hmm. And so in terms of chakra work, after the heart comes the throat. The throat is actually, you think of it as a vessel of air, but it is actually the first of the three dealing with ether. It's the throat, which is why the Master Mason's degree drops you off at the throat chakra, because the remaining two is up to you. Yeah. To say that to become a Master Mason, it does not activate the pineal gland, and it does not give you access to your crown chakra, which is why in Masonic allegory, Grand Master Hiram Abiff, he was buried at the brow of a hill. That brow is, he was buried at the brow of a hill. Yeah. So you're placed on the doorstep of enlightenment. It's on you to take those next few steps. But what we just did, just now, real briefly, we walked through all the chakras. We walked from the root all the way up to the crown. I've practiced writing in chakra, where you can actually, through verbiage, I've done posts. Because like I said, I've been doing this now. I've been doing chakra work now. Whew. Oh my goodness! I'll be honest with you. I was introduced to the chakra system in '95.
Wow, I was 5.
I was introduced to the chakra system in '95. So I never quite had an understanding at a younger age, but I've always investigated. But that's part of that. When some people do it instinctually, people who write good speeches, good pastors, the verbiage can raise you or lower you.
Especially in the black church.
Especially in the black church.
Especially in the black church.
If a lot of people don't know that when you leave church, it's more or less a Kundalini rush, because you've effectively been raised up to the crown chakra and then released to the wild. Get the show. Yeah. Now, what I will say is this: if we're gonna tie it into Freemasonry, what I learned to do, and I'll say this to you, what I learned to do was, prior to my meetings, I performed my own ritual at home. I had set my intent. I always went to my meetings with something I wanted to accomplish, something I wanted to learn, and you got all that group energy that's being built up, and then from there, when you leave, that was another thing for me. I left my meetings right away. I used to leave my meetings right away. I would stay, I would eat a little bit, fellowship, and I would leave, because my thing was, I felt like I had captured this energy, and it was leaking through my fingers like mint.
Like, I got to go, y'all. Hey.
I got to go, because my thing was, I'm going to get home and I'm finna go astral project. Yeah. I'm finna go home, I'm finna go meditate. Yeah. And so that was literally where I was. But that is and I would say this, not just Masonically, when you have rituals that you're going to perform at home, you do a mini ritual. Mm-hmm. Muslims do it when they perform hoodoo, when they ritualistically clean themselves. That's a ritual before the ritual prayer. Mm-hmm. So I would perform a ritual. I would have my whatever it was I was working on, whatever goal I wanted to accomplish, whatever I wanted to know. Because for the most part, I've only challenged for knowledge that I can convert to knowledge itself. I rarely, I'm not I need $1 million a day, or how could I get rich tomorrow? Right. My thing has always been knowledge itself, because with those tools, you can get the $1 million, you can get the big house, whatever. But I would just say, I mentioned in the first half that my whole purpose of becoming a Mason, I wanted to know the importance of ritual. Well, these are the things that I did learn. You do a mini ritual, set your intent. I'll say this. I've astral projected during lodge meetings. Matter of fact, at one point during an EA degree, I believe I was a junior steward, I projected. And one of the past masters got to be later and said, "Man, I seen you was asleep. You know, you can't be doing that. Can't be doing that." But then I told him everything that happened around me because I was outside my body. I was watching this on the astral level, literally. And I've done it several. I've done it in multiple houses. I've done it in. I got addicted actually to astral projecting during initiations. I think that's when the most energy is generated. And so when I joined the Royal Arch, when I joined the Shrine, I made sure to have myself, because that's another thing I would say to anybody. We were talking about Khadijah's book. I got Khadijah's book, and it was more than it wasn't what I expected, but more in a good way. I was expecting a nice little thick book on chakras. She had a lot of chakra rituals.
Yeah.
A lot of chakra rituals. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting something like this, and we were going to talk about Krillian technology and the application of the metaphysical chakra. No.
She made it real simple to work with.
So I'll say the importance of chakra work, number one, is it has to be performed regularly.
I just wanted to show that if anybody wanted to check, I'll put a link for this as well. This is a good book. The Chakra Trials, Rituals and Spells, Volume 1, DNA Sequencing and DNA Reprogramming. It's real good. Real good when it comes to...
Real good. And so I would just say, I just wanted to say to anybody else that your chakras are defined as spinning vortexes or wheels of energy. We can all relate to the concept of a car having wheels. How often do you get your tires aligned? How often do you change your tires? How often do you change your brakes? So these wheels that spin, they do require at best preventative maintenance, because you don't want to have to shut your entire chakra system down to work on your sacral or your root. So that's why you perform constant maintenance. And when I say perform constant maintenance, how do you know that you need your brakes changed? You hear that squeaky sound, right? What R. Kelly say? I heard a squeaky sound. When you hear that squeaky sound, Mr. Biggs, when you hear that squeaky sound, you know, let me go check my brakes out. You know how I feel when you pump it. So it's the same with chakras. What I do is, every now and then I just catch myself and be like, whoa, you tripping.
Yeah.
You tripping. You need to do some sacral chakra work. You need to work on your heart chakra. What's going on?
That's the biggest thing that when you get to that point where you can catch yourself, where you know you like, yeah, I need to see where that actually came from. You know, chakras is great for that.
Yeah, so what another thing most don't realize, from Freemasonry to all these systems, I don't care if it's Ifa, Hoodoo, Voodoo, Goetia, these are psychological models. The inner workings of the lodge is the inner workings of your psychology. You get to watch your causal body, your emotional body. These officers represent those aspects of your inner self. Most can tell you that the 7 orishas represent the 7 chakras. The orishas also tie into your major adrenal glands. And that's another thing about the chakra system, is that these metaphysical, meta meaning beyond physical, these wheels are attached to physical glands. So the results can produce not only metaphysical results from having a balanced chakra system, but it also can produce physical results, because they're each tied into a different gland in your body.
Yeah.
And actually, that is how you bring grace down upon yourself. C. Freeman did some excellent lectures when he explained what these jewels, what the jewels and jewels actually are. It's your adrenal glands and their proper functioning. So chakra work is actually very important. I've met people who told me everything from I listened to a 1-hour YouTube video and I worked on my chakras today. I went through all 7 in an hour. I'm straight. I met people who said over the course of, let's say, a month, they went through all 7 chakras straight. I never got to do it again. I've also met people who said, can you raise my kundalini for me? I'll pay you. all 3 of those examples are frightening to me. All 3 frightening.
Especially the last one. Okay.
I explained to somebody like, man, do you know that you're asking me to hook you up to an electric chair? And then I'm waiting for you to tell me when there's too much energy, when there's too much electricity, you know? And so the thing about chakra work, and that's another reason why I wanted to write that book, there are so many people who say, I've never had a kundalini experience. Mm-hmm. And they've bought all these books and they've done this and that. And so another thing that's in my book is I give you different herbs, different combinations of colors, because if, let's say you find, another thing that I found out, I didn't put this in the book, but it makes perfect sense. I thought about it after the book. You know how we all know that yellow and blue makes green? You ever heard that before? The saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
and even,
these are actually the colors you use. Yeah. Every color in the spectrum, you can combine 2 colors to get that color. Mm-hmm. That is actually how you can work on multiple chakras at the same time. Yeah. Is by taking these, because there's a reason why these 2 colors make the other one. So, because I had somebody ask me actually an excellent question, can you work on more than 1 chakra at a time? And the answer to that is, I would say up to 3.
Yeah.
Because if you take the Hebrew menorah, the candlestick, it's the menorah, right? I believe so. I believe it's called the menorah, but it's the candlestick. The candlestick is a representation of your chakra system. Now, the root chakra on that menorah, the root chakra, it goes down, it connects to the crown. The sacral chakra, that same candle is connected to the pineal gland. And if you think about it, they say sex and creation happens in the mind.
Yeah.
That's why the sacral chakra is actually connected to the pineal. Those are 2 ways of manifesting, if for lack of a better word. And then you have the solar plexus chakra, which, amazingly enough, goes directly to the throat chakra. Yeah. And in my book, I show how the 3 degrees of Freemasonry is from the solar plexus to the throat chakra. Mm-hmm. Now, each of those chakras I told you that were connected, which one is connected to all of them? The heart chakra. So that's why I say you can work on up to 3 chakras at a time. So in Freemasonry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was just
so I'm just saying that you can see
about that in the book.
Yeah. And so I'm just saying that there are you don't have to single out a chakra, and to be honest, you can be as creative as you want. I'm not saying that you can only work on those chakras in the I'm not saying that you can only work on the for instance, let's say root chakra, heart chakra, crown chakra. You can only work on those 3 at the same time. You could be as because the thing is knowledge itself. And like I said in the other half, I'm not the guy that's going to tell you wrong. If anything, if you tell me you did that, I'm going to ask you, did it work? Okay. Man, I'm going to drive myself. Because when it comes to chakras, and this might offend, appall, or scare people, about 7 years ago, I was on Facebook, and there was somebody doing chakra removals.
Wow.
So when I first heard that, I went in. I condemned that person to hell. What do you mean you're gonna remove your chakra system? But what I did, I stepped back and I actually thought about it. Because I've always had this weird connection mentally between the chakra system and the archons. Because the archons number 12, 7, and 5, I believe. Or 12, 7, and 3. The archons, if you look it up, there's no stable number for the demiurge's archons. I believe it's 3, 7, and 12. So when you look for correspondences, I always say, well, if there's 7 archons, there's actually 7 chakras. So then I made the personal connection that we have 7 adrenal glands, just like we have 7 archons. We have the three major organs: pineal, pituitary, hypothalamus. There's 3 archons, and then we have 12 cranial nerves. There's 12 zodiac, 12 archons. So I actually came to the personal aha moment, and I said, maybe the archons exist inside of me. Maybe I'm the demiurge and the arch. So that got me down that path of knowledge of self. So you know what I did? I tried to remove my own chakras. Yeah, and I'll tell you this, to anybody who's done any kind of chakra work, it's actually physically painful. You will feel not like debilitating pain, but you will feel a physical sensation. Wow. I'm not recommending this to anybody, but I'm saying that in my knowledge of self, I follow rabbits down rabbit holes. That's what I do. And what I realized from that experience, and I didn't stop at the first sign of discomfort. I worked with all 7 of my chakras because now I'm curious. If it's possible that these are the demiurge, maybe that person talking about chakra rules, maybe they wasn't too far off base. Yeah. But what I did get out of that, number one is don't remove your chakras. Trust me. But what I got out of it was I actually developed alternative means to raise your kundalini and work on your chakras. Wow. And what I got out of it was I made the connection that you could get a dozen books on chakras and they are all light work. If you think about it, name one book that tells you how to raise your chakras from the left-hand path, from the dark side. Doesn't exist. I'm working on one now from my research that I did through that. If you think about it, it's always envisioning these lights. It's about raising this energy. It's a lot of, for lack of a better term, light worker work. And so during the course of doing that, because I did make it a real study. It wasn't something I did just like for a week. I really worked on it and I tried different ways because I'm curious. Because I'm the same person that I tell you when I first started consciously astral projecting, everybody that I knew was like, not everybody, but people who's afraid to astral project because what if I get lost? What if my cord get cut?
Yeah.
You know?
That was one of my fears.
So you know what I did? You know what I did? I went in, I imagined the sword, and I tried to cut mine. Let's see. Somebody got to do this work. This is how I think. Somebody has to do this work. And you know what happened? I guess my higher self said, hey, you know what? You're a little too curious, dog. I don't see my cord anymore. When it's your time to go, you're gone. When it's not your time, you can step in front of a train and just scratch your knee. That's just it and that's all. Now, what's to say that you can push your luck and step in front of that train is actually your time? But I'm just saying that from my experience, what I've learned, because I usually try to confront not only my fears, but other people's fears. Which is part of the reason of me becoming a Mason. Because to be honest, when I was first asked the question, you know, I told a good friend of mine, man, I'm thinking about becoming a Mason. He the one told me, man, they're gonna put a spirit in you, boy. I saw this on YouTube. Man, they're gonna bring a demon down.
And this is
put
coming
a demon
from
in your body.
This is coming from a Mason.
No. But just a friend of mine. Just a friend of mine.
Oh, okay. The other friend.
When I told him, I said, man, I'm thinking about becoming a Mason. You know, he was on the conscious path. He sent me a link to a video. Posted been in some lodge in Turkey, and they put a demon in dude. I watched the video, and I'm saying, where the demon at? I'm looking. You know, it's grainy footage, but I don't see nothing. I didn't see dude lift off the ground and I didn't see none of that. But these are other people's fears. So what I'm saying is, I confront not only my fears, but I confront other people's fears because you never know. Yeah. You know. But again, I'm just saying that I'm that scientist. I do that work for you. I'm not telling anybody. I'm not saying because again, when I did try to remove my chakras, I felt a physical, not a pain, not like it was like it was very uncomfortable. Now that could have been psychological. It's really true. But hey, the placebo effect is so strong that just from a psychological standpoint, you can cure yourself from cancer. So what's to say that pain, whether it was psychological or not, did not manifest physically? So, right. But just the point I want to make is, when I hear about people who've never raised their kundalini, that's like a horror story to me. Yeah. I say, wow, you've been working on your chakras how long? And you've never, that's horrible. Which is why, like I said, I am willing to do the work. I will dedicate one time I dedicated a whole summer just to doing personal past life regressions. And I do this because I always say to people, I'm not a master teacher. I'm a master student. And I just happen to keep very good notes. And so I do a lot of this research, and I keep notes because I can remember when I finally got a good grasp of what this metaphysics and occultism was, and I had joined all these different Facebook groups. I would ask my questions, and at the time I thought these dudes were knowledgeable, and they were basically telling me bullshit. They didn't know. They just had books and sound mystical. And so from that, I just began to document my work. Like I said, I've never been afraid to experiment. And so that's why I say I'm just a good student. And by me saying I'm a master student, what I mean by that is I'm not married. I'm not even married to my own truth. Because I have to be willing to divorce it in a moment. What if I successfully remove my chakras? I'd be on here now telling you can do it too. So I'm just saying, I have to say that on a personal level, I'm willing to challenge my beliefs. Yeah. And the only way and the purpose of challenging your beliefs is to come to that knowing. And the thing about being a knower doesn't mean you know it all, because if you learn something new, then what you thought you knew, now you can divorce yourself from that and you can embrace what you now know. Yeah. And so that I know that might sound like some new age gobbledygook, but the thing is, you actually have to be willing to admit that you were wrong. Yeah. I always thought, a lot of times we put our personal feelings towards symbols. That's never wrong. But if you did learn another aspect, or if you did learn maybe a correct terminology or a correct application, that doesn't erase your personal understanding. It actually increases it. Yeah. So I just would say things like lucid dreaming, astral projection, chakra work, I actually feel as though these are foundational things that I don't care whether you're a master mason or just practicing witch, or you just, whatever. Mm-hmm. These are things that kind of go hand in hand. And all of these things I just mentioned, they're all tied into zodiac correspondences, alchemy, Kabbalah. You can go on and on. And that's why you can find what works for you over here or over there. So it's about, because what I really wanted my book to be is a reference book. I didn't want it to be I read it one time and I'm straight. It should be a book that if you're trying to find, I actually in my book, and you can appreciate this as a Master Mason, I actually show that the lodge is a reflection of a time clock. Yeah. So you can, if you wanted to, you could find the correspondence between the Masonic Lodge and the time of day, and you'll find these. I mean, the correspondences are just the correspondence between, what's that right there that says Clock of Destiny?
Clock of Destiny, man.
I got mine's up. Matter of fact, I got the Clock of Destiny in my Masonic portion of my library. Yes, so I'm just saying that to say that these correspondences, they exist for us to find knowledge of self. And everybody gets it differently. Some people get it through chakra work. For me, I found it through esoteric anatomy. Yeah. I found it by realizing that the lodge, the Masonic Lodge, is also a reflection of your skull. And it goes on and on and on. But I wanted to have a reference book that somebody can kind of connect these dots, because sometimes they don't always line up evenly across the board. And that's just with any correspondence. On the periodic chart, it might take so much of one element and enough another element to get a third. So it's not going to always line up directly across, but you can connect those dots if you're serious about doing the research.
Gotcha. Man, I see this type of information. I can talk about this all day. If I'm not talking to somebody about it, I will be talking to it with myself. I don't care, but it has to be talked about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. My son is right here.
Yeah. And I was going to say, even if you like, that's Dana.
Yeah, Dana.
If you wanted to even bring him, like, just to say hi, because he just released the book, right?
He just released the book. He's sitting. Come here. He wants.
Hi, Cameron.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. I haven't met you. I haven't met you yet.
You haven't met me yet?
No.
Man, it's good. It's good to meet you. Seriously, I've heard so much about you. I heard you just released a book.
What's the name of your book, bud?
Dana's Bar book that I've released it.
That is amazing.
Hey, now what I was gonna say to you is, whenever I do a Zoom meeting like this, my son, he posts up, and when I don't force it on my kids. When they were younger, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna tell that lie. When they were younger, I used to quiz them on the chakra system. Little things. I used to always do it, but I realized that I didn't want it to be like I was growing up, because being a Jehovah's Witness was just forced on me. I had to be, because my mother was. So I kind of bagged up. I used to quiz my kids. What's melanin? What is 666? And they had to say 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. I stopped that. I stopped it because I said, I realized, though, that just how I live my life, that'll be a reflection enough. Yeah. Well, my son, we sit up, we talk chakras, we talk consciousness. He's 15 and special needs, and he's still willing to learn. We just went camping. The whole time we was camping, I guess he was doing his chakra work, and he was just like reaffirming. So the sacral chakra was orange, right? Okay, Halloween colors. The throat chakra is blue. Shotakra blue. That's right, Dad. Dad, chakras are energy, and consciousness is energy. So he's making his correspondences, his parallels. But and again, like you say, his book that he wrote, man, I tell anybody, my son's a reincarnation of Akhenaten. That's why his name is Dana. He has the day in his name. D-A-Y.
Okay.
Akhenaten.
That's his son.
Yep. And I call you son not because you're mine. I call you son because you like one. There we go. Akhenaten, the Akhenaten, the Pharaoh Akhenaten, he had the elongated head. He brought solar worship to Egypt. I look at my son, and his name has day in it, D-A-Y. He'll tell you in a heartbeat, I don't like rainy days, I like the sun. And for me, those are the correspondences that you find around you that reaffirm why you're here. Because I look at my son and I say, he said, you know what? Because I was probably one of his followers back in Egypt. And he probably said, you know what? I'm going to come back. I'm going to be special needs, and you're going to take care of me again. And we're going to do this all over again. Little things like that. But he finds his gnosis in his life. And that book, I didn't write it. I was the transcriber. He told me the pictures he wanted to put in it. And he told me for every picture, he told me how he felt about, that was the day I did this and that. That was a good day. All my cousins were there. And I wrote it just how he said it. So it's just one of those things that I, like we were talking earlier about Panic and Bobby, we talk about decodes. Decode your dreams, decode movies. And the purpose of these decodes is I decode my life in real time. I decode my life in real time. So what I try to do is I try to look for the signs, symbols, and signposts in my own life, in my own symbol, like C. Freeman say, my own symbolization. Yeah. I look for the signs that reaffirm I'm on the right track, and that's what I do. That's what I follow. But I forget why I brought my son up. But yeah, he posts up in the interview. He's gonna post up right there. You probably hear him in the background. Yeah, that's chakras. That's chakra work.
Yeah. I love that.
You know, and I'm more proud. Like my daughters, I have twin daughters. I believe they'll get it later. They're waiting on some good trauma. See, he's had his trauma from birth, but I'm pretty sure my girl's waiting for some good trauma, maybe a good breakup or two, lose a couple jobs, and they're gonna say, "What was that? Daddy used to always be read," you know,
Always something.
There's always something, you know, that'll run you to it, and you know. But either way, I just would want to repeat, like we were saying, we talk about this. That's why I brought my son up. I talk about this constantly. On the phone with several different people. If it's not me and you talking, you know, every time we talk, if I'm usually going somewhere, I'm in the car, my son right there. Yeah. And I always say that if I can't talk about it around him or my kids, or if I can't go there with him or my kids, then it's probably not for me. So, you know, this knowledge of self, you make it a part of your everyday, and you will find yourself talking about it constantly and casually. You know, what I find now, and I say this to anybody listening, what I find now is before, when I was in my smashing idols mode, I was looking for any way to talk about this. Now I find myself and people, family members, because I have family members who 10, 12 years ago, they would tell me, Mike, you can come over for Thanksgiving, but don't you get talking about this ain't our holiday. Don't get talking about that we natives. You know, you can come, but don't do, because that's what I would do. Oh, I'm coming to Thanksgiving. I'm coming to Christmas. I'm going to tell you about it now. Now, mind you, I went from that 12, 14, 15 years ago to now. I have family members, and I'm watching them go through their own awakening. Mm-hmm. So when they ask me questions, you would think I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Nope. I'm going to let you got to get a little deeper than a rabbit hole now. Yeah. So you want to talk about the Bible? I'm going to actually shock you now. The Bible's a good document, man. What? The Bible written by a white man. No, actually, the Bible's an African document. So to them, I was explaining this to a friend of mine. To them, it's like, Mike done lost his mind. First he was saying the Bible wasn't real. Now he's saying, but see, what we all feel and realize, you held up that clock of destiny by C.M. Bay. The clock is very important. That circle. Mm-hmm. Another thing that falls on that circle of progression that brings you right back where you started is the hero's journey. Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey. You familiar with that, right?
Yeah.
If you notice, whenever the hero's journey is explained, it's shown on a clock face. But the thing about the hero's journey is the hero usually starts his journey around 3 p.m. It's broken up into quarters anyway. The hero goes through these trials and tribulations. Essentially, he's circumambulating through the lodge of his mind. When he finds himself at his darkest hour, which is midnight, it's only a few more hours away to daylight. Yeah. You're dark. That's why they say it's always darkest before the dawn. But what most people don't realize is in the hero's journey, you find yourself right back where you started. But you're the only thing that has changed. Everything around you is still the same. Wow. And that's how you change your stars. You change your stars by how you think and view things differently now. So think about any real good story that follows a hero's journey. Let's use Lord of the Rings, for instance. J.R. Tolkien's books. Mm-hmm. Those hobbits went on this journey. They went on a hero's journey. They saved all of creation. In the end, they went back home and they were different. You know, they would be in the pub drinking, and every now and then they just have a little sad moment. Everybody else is laughing. Yeah. So the thing about the hero's journey is it's a knowledge of self. It's a personal journey. Yeah. So when you watch these movies, I want to tie this in real quick. When you watch these movies and you see a cast of 5, a cast of 7, group of 8, these are biological and psychological processes. It's only one person going on this journey, and that's you. The Egyptians have the Agdawad. So for me, whenever I watch a movie, and I see 8 or 7 characters, I might think of the Ogdoad, or I might think of the 7 adrenal glands, or I might think, and you notice that in a lot of these movies, you start off with 12 and you end up with 3.
Yeah.
You start off with 8 and end up with 1. So these are psychological, biological processes that are playing out for you to gain knowledge yourself. So to tie it in what I was just saying about my relatives, I went on my hero's journey several times since you told me don't come to Christmas talking about Jesus ain't real. So now I find myself at a place that to you seems quite simple. What? Mike is talking about the Bible's a good document. I thought people literally come to me like we finna bash this Bible. But no, in the course of my shadow work, because I realized that, I'll say this too, when I first got on this path, I said, I'm going to the dark side. I was raised Christian, Jehovah's Witness, but I realized that the point of shadow work is to confront the things that, not so much that you're afraid of, but the things that you bury so deep psychologically, you don't even recognize it anymore. So for me, I realized I had been traumatized by the Bible. So what I did was I set aside an entire year and I dove into the Bible Gnostically and according to its true meaning. I practiced several different Gnostic prayers every day. You might even call me on Facebook praising the Lord. I did different. I just anything that was related to this word, and I got that work. I literally
bring that up. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
go ahead.
I wanted to bring it because even though I'm not religious anymore, but there's a lot of principles and things that I learned from church that I still use in my personal work now. Like even with, let's say, like gospel music. Let's take, gospel music is magic. Mm-hmm. Period. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You think of the song, like I love listening to some Kirk Franklin. You take the song "Melodies from Heaven." Uh-huh. If if you understand the symbology with what heaven is, and melodies from heaven, this is a way for me to talk to my subconscious mind and draw information, draw energy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it all still comes together. It all still connects.
And that's what I set out to do. I essentially wanted to tear down what was already built and then build up a correct understanding. And like I said, I did it through Gnosticism, Samael, Weor. I'm trying to think of just, to be honest, I'll say to anybody, if you actually looked up the different versions of the Lord, do you know, Gnostically, there's a way to say the Lord's Prayer that takes like an hour.
Wow.
Where you enunciate and you vibrate. Man, so what I'm saying is the problem that most people have with the Bible, and I say this all the time and it kind of pisses people off, you're really mad because you felt like you believed you were lied to. You believed a lie. The Bible is not a historical document. It's definitely not meant to be followed verbatim. But it is a timeless document. Yeah. It's just one more link. And I say to people all the time, why do you think that the Bible is made up of the Egyptian Book of Dead, the Bhagavad Gita, the Mahabharata, you can go back and find traces of all these previous religions because it's all just links in a chain. And so what helped me was to understand that the Bible is a book of astrology, astronomy, biology, psychiatry. Once you have these keys, I even went through where I learned the basics behind the meanings of the Hebrew alphabet, because even that can help you because the translation from Hebrew to Greek to English, some things lose their meaning. So, and I'm saying this, even though we've been talking Freemasonry here, and we said it to begin with, this is not to entice, induce, or solicit anyone to join. I wouldn't even say you got to learn Hebrew to read the Bible. You just want to get enough understanding for you. Now, if for you it requires learning to physically speak and memorize, go ahead. I was telling you before the show that I have a degree in computer science.
Yeah.
My professor used to ride me because I was that dude that when I learned something, I learned everything. And he used to always tell me, here goes Mr. Bell, memorizing stuff he'll never have to repeat again in life. He was not impressed. He was not impressed with the depth of how well I memorized. No, because it's not about what you can recite. It's about what you know. And so if you can reach that knowledge yourself with the briefest understanding, and if the topic comes up again and you got to look at it again, so be it. If you get it from the deeper, like I was saying about the Kabbalistic paths, I'm big into Kabbalah. To begin with, man, I didn't set out to memorize the different paths. Man, I was cool with memorizing each of those Sephiroth and then meditating myself to sleep, sitting in front of them or walking on them or whatever. I've had several people tell me that's not how you do it. None, that ain't how it worked. Worked for me, pal. And from that, it became a launching pad, because if you're still curious, you learn more. And then, of course, you learn other ways. But to be honest, it truly is I'm going to keep repeating it. It is a journey about knowledge of self and what works for you. And if you continue to build and you say, well, I do need a more sturdy understanding for the Golden Dawn, their ritual, then you pursue that. If not, you might get it from just the briefest, because I performed that during my year when I devoted myself to the Bible, I was also on Kabbalah as well, and I did the middle pillar ritual every morning. Man, that middle pillar ritual, which is associated with the Golden Dawn, it will set your day off straight. You'll be focused. It was awesome. Did I join the Golden Dawn? No. Did I make it my own? Yeah, I definitely added some twists and twerks and quarks because it's what works for me. Yeah. And so, but yeah.
Man, I love having you on the show, bro. And I know you got to be getting going. We gonna have some more conversations.
Oh, you know it.
Whether we're talking Masonry, whether we just talking about occult and spirituality, bro.
You know what I love to do? One day I would love to come on here with you, because me and you talked about it, I believe it was offline. I would love to discuss different channels just between like Richard Pryor, like I in the Astro, bro. Richard Pryor, Red Fox. To me, it was always hilarious.
He stays around.
Come on,
he stay around.
Come on. It was for me. I was amazed, and again, I didn't know if these were I didn't know Richard Pryor was a Mason.
Yeah.
And so when I first started meditating heavily and astral projecting and things like that, channeling, one of the things I did was I started keeping a dream journal, and I would write in the dream journal, like if it was a crowded room, I'd write down all the faces that I saw. Mm-hmm. And then I started realizing that, and I didn't know that Rosa Parks was an Eastern Star.
No, I didn't know that.
She was an Eastern Star. So
wow.
I would write down these experiences from lucid dreams and meditations, and I started noticing that the same faces, like I'd be in the lodge and I used to be like, what was Rosa Parks doing in the lodge?
Yeah.
Why is Richard Pryor constantly in the background of my dreams?
Uh-huh.
When I found out that these people were Masonically connected, it blew me away. Like I said, you can't make this up.
We're going to talk about that. Ossie Davis, I believe he's a Mason. And he was coming through to me a couple of times as well. And it's just like, you know what I'm saying? The most randomest shit. Like, Ossie Davis, like, where's you coming from? But then you find out the correspondence, So we definitely gonna do that. I would love to talk that with you. Some people, they think, oh, that's. I will talk channels all freaking day. Yeah. So we gonna come back. We gonna do an episode. We could just whatever channels, because man, everything, like, that's why I'm so glad your name is the Professor, and I'm just sitting here learning. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting here learning, man. Is there anything before we leave? Any final thoughts or anything that you want to say?
I will say this. Anybody interested in getting my book, The Occult Meaning of Masonry, Its Symbols and the Chakra System by the Professor, you can get it. I have my own website, pillarbookpublishing.com. You want to find me, I'm real active on social media. Facebook, it would be Michael Bell, but I also have a Pillar Publishing. It's a group on Facebook. In that group, I really just discuss different books and share different books. Because you see, I got a big library. I'm an advocate reader, and I do suggest books and whatever. My son just wrote a book. I believe I have a copy right here.
Yeah, show that book, man.
I have a copy of his book, which is Dana's Bart book. It is written by Dana J. Reed, Michael K. Bell, myself, and my son. I just have another author whose book just released. She's on the path. She's my oracle. She's done all my tarot reading. She did all my tarot readings, and one day about 2 months ago, she was like, "You know what? I always wanted to write a book." Well, I have my own publishing company. She just released her book. Her name is Akanki Devin Whitmore. And the name of her book is Where Are My Superpowers? She had a son who was born with the same, mind you this, real quick, I'll make it fast. Me and her, she did a tarot reading for me about 6 years ago, maybe. And we developed a friendship. She used to sell candles and different stuff. I bought, we became friends. Come to find out, she had a son born with the exact same special need as my son.
Wow.
And so she went through, it was like my son's just older than her, so we went through a mirror effect of seizures and surgeries and stuff like that. So her book, Where Are My Superpowers, is about her son, and she healed her son essentially herself.
Wow.
She did the work on the metaphysical plane, and she brought her son back. But her book, Where Are My Superpowers, is just about her son. He went through these surgeries, and he had a twin, and he felt a little behind his twin, and he's looking at all of his siblings, and he's saying, my mom has this power, my dad has this power, what power do I have? And he comes to realize that he has a culmination of everybody's power. So it's actually a very, I would say, deep book. It hits on different levels. I'm waiting. I published it, and I purchased 5 copies myself because I'm keeping one and I'm giving others away. So and I have another book coming out soon, The Metaphysical Meaning of Star Trek, and I'm big on movies and stuff like that. And I'm big on Star Trek and Star Wars, but I just see Star Wars. A lot of people like Star Wars, but they don't know why, and they don't realize that Star Trek encompasses mythology. Mythology encompasses the subconscious mind, and again, that book I mentioned earlier, Kirk Packwood. I'm of no other understanding that we all meet up on the astral plane through our subconscious mind. I'm a firm believer of that, So, I'm got projects coming out, and other than that, if you find me, so on Instagram, I have Pillar Publishing. That's my business account, but you can find me. I am who I think I am, and I'm gonna put all those underscores in there. I am underscore who underscore I think underscore I am. You can find me there. But outside of that, I'm just saying thank you again. Like I said, we had these same 2-hour-long conversations when the camera's not recording, Yes, and again, I just say congratulations to you on your journey, on your Masonic journey, because I do remember that very first time we spoke, and you mentioned all of the 33s and Osiris, and we were talking, and we went in, and just the fact that we're now, I say this all the time, I feel truly blessed because the people who I listen to and watch and learn from have become my friends. We talked about that Bobby Hemmett thing. That was fire. It was not just comedic genius, like you said. It was a channel, and so I find myself in this position now that the people who I consider to be my friends are also my teachers, And so I'm just enjoying the ride, man. You know, when I leave here, it's gonna be with a smile, and nobody got to worry about me haunting them as a ghost because I'm shooting straight to serious because I got what I needed. I had a ball. Right. Hey, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna leave 1/72 of myself here for tap ins and channels, but the rest of me is gonna be in Sirius somewhere, man. You know, I'm out. I'm out because I feel like from family to friends and extended family, I'm doing what I came here to do, and I'm meeting up with who I was supposed to meet up with. So, you know, thank you again. This left hand perspective, I share it every chance I get because I believe that it's one of those hidden gems that's slept on, and it's one of those things that it's like the Masonic Lodge. If you don't know, you should have, and it's not because it's a secret being kept away from you. You know, you just gotta find yourself on that vibrational frequency because from music to comedy, I'm not just patting you on the back because you're my brother, but because you are my brother, I know you're worthy of those pats on the back.
Thank
you know.
Thank you, man. All right, bro. Now anybody listening, if you wanna man, if you got anything you want to promote on the show, if you want to come on the show, if you want to put me on your show, you know, you can follow me on Instagram at The Left Hand Perspective. Also, if you want to send an email, lefthandperspective1@gmail.com. That's lefthandperspective1@gmail.com. Once again, The Occult Meaning of Masonry, The Chakras and Its Symbols, a wonderful book, a wonderful tool. Go ahead and check it out. Michael Bell, A.K.A. the Professor, thank you very much for coming on the show, my brother.
You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome, man. I'm looking forward to part whatever the next one to be.
It's gonna be part 50 by the time we done.